The one thing we can be confident about in comics is that once you're inside, once you have created a comic, you've written it, you penciled it, you put it out into the world, it's a nice, tight, close knit community that looks out for each other and definitely doesn't backstab or crap on each other from a distance, right? Well, no. It's interesting because the comic industry has been portrayed that way as, hey, the creators are kind of a brotherhood, a sisterhood, and we look out for each other. But at the same time, the amount of kind of petty backstabbing and little passive aggressive insults are kind of just off the charts. Why is that? Why? Hey everybody, this is Perch. I'll answer the question as to why there seems to be, not just seems to be, why there is, frankly, a lot more backstabbing, a lot more kind of pettiness and passive aggressive kind of comments and kind of this almost people kind of watching out over each other and issuing weird vague threats and narking on each other on social media and attacking. I mean, I the part that is most fascinating that all of us are watching play out on real time is and I did a video on this topic, but Rob Liefeld, who for several decades, at least the late 90s, probably earlier, has been guy. He does a lot of good work. I want to present it this way. On one hand, you cannot take away from the fact that the guy is a household name when it comes to comics. He has produced many of the top selling comics. He personally, for me, he's responsible for paying my shop's rent single handedly with some of his New Mutants and X Force work. No doubt about it. Created things that people are memorable. His art is immediately recognizable. And Liefeld has a place in this industry. Love him or hate him, he does. At the same time, he's kind of an asshole. Um, and I say that from the perspective of, I'm sure he would disagree or blocked. But people, it depends on your point of view. He either says it like it is, or he kind of unnecessarily craps on people and takes shots at them, and that comes off very arrogant at times. One of those two, you pick. And right now he is crapping on Marvel and on X-Men. He seems to crap on Marvel from time to time, and then somebody offers him some work, and then he craps on DC for a while, and then it kind of goes back and forth. And he's crapping on the X-Men franchise because who knows? Maybe he reached out and they're not giving him work, or maybe he's heard, because this has happened a lot lately, especially with the Dawn of X writing and art team, that there's been some jokes made. I got sent some, let's say, some stuff behind the scenes of some of the Dawn of X folks who work on those titles, talking about kind of what a joke Liefeld is, before Liefeld started making all these comments, not after. And so he's taking shots at them, and many of the shots are incredibly petty. He comes off as a little bit of an asshole. He definitely comes off as arrogant. But then the counter response is equally ludicrous. The amount of comic creators who are up in arms about that awful person, Rob Liefeld. And what's interesting is the latest, I think, whether it's lots of different people, but the most recent one that kind of made me laugh was from Joe Glass, who is an independent comic creator, writer. He wrote for Bleeding Cool. I don't know if he still does or not. He's known for doing LGBTQ type comics. His big comic is The Pride. I was shocked. I went to his Twitter page and he's promoting the Pride Omnibus coming in 2021, which is just hard for me to wrap my head around. But okay, you print all your stuff. Why not? But he's now making the, kind of these subtle, I hate these creators who are going after franchises they're not even invited to be a part of anymore, particularly since they've been doing a better job of hiring, representation in their creators. Basically inferring that, hey, this guy, wink, wink, not going to say his name, wink, wink, is a bigot and a homophobe and sexist. Is really what's being communicated there. Wink. And then somebody comes in and goes, ooh, is that who I think it is? And Glass is like, it's Rob Liefeld. It's like, like he couldn't even keep the wink down. Like you had to, It's just so petty. It's so freaking petty. And I think what's funny is, on one hand, Rob Liefeld has a multi-decade established reputation for being kind of arrogant and an asshole. I think to now insinuate that he's also a, hyphen phobe. I mean, he can just be an asshole. Well, many of these people that we want to slander and call racist and other things, it's or they're just assholes, or they're just kind of jerks, or what, it doesn't have to be more than, hey, this person is kind of a jerk, or not kind of a jerk, a complete jerk. Well, whatever you want. It's again, it's your party. You can decide. But it underscores something about comics, which is, on one hand, it's, there's a lot of lip service given to it being a community and it being a place where people look out for each other. It's a smaller industry, and so we watch out for each other and we help each other. But on the other hand, there is the amount of backstabbing and bitching and attacking, and in this case, both Liefeld, who's inserting himself to want to make fun of the current X-Men writers, and Joe Glass, among others, who are, I mean, Joe Glass isn't being invited to write the X-Men either. I mean, just everybody shut up. But the amount of just pettiness, it just oozes out of every pore in this industry. And you watch creators get successful. You watch people have a hit, and the knives come out. It's funny because there's this combo of, oh man, I'm so glad for you. This is really good. You did a great job. Kind of these public tweets. And then you see stuff in private groups of, well, that guy is not really very talented. This hype is a lot manufactured, and just the nastiest kind of rumors. The amount of comic creators who have accused each other of buying Twitter followers, or hiring, marketing firms to, attack other creators as counter programming. I mean, I have watched some of the meanest stuff come out against Scott Snyder, from many different corners, accusing him of everything from grooming people to using people to, and when I say mean, I mean really mean. Like, not just, hey, he kind of does this stuff, but like, hey, do you realize that Scott Snyder pays people to attack his enemies and troll them? Did you? There was a rumor going on for a while that Scott Snyder was in a secret deal with Ethan Van Sciver to attack, people like Tom King, to kind of, and Brian Michael Bendis, to kind of get them out of his way from a competitive standpoint. I don't believe this for a second. It's lunacy, but these theories are spouted not by fans, but by other comic creators in private groups. And what's weird is you get this, oh yeah, I've always known that about that guy. I've never trusted that guy. And it's like, you've never trusted that guy. You don't even work with that guy. You're not even in the orbit of this guy on any comic, on any project. And why so bitter? I guess this is kind of my issue with it. Having been to a lot of cons, having taken a lot of different creators and people out to drinks, I keep my secrets. When people tell me things, I keep it to myself. But I'm dismayed. And if there's one thing that's going to drive me from this industry, it's that the amount of two-faced kind of stuff that goes on is off the charts. And I think many people know it because there's so much of this backstabbing going on. And it's one reason why a lot of people in comics are paranoid. So when I meet creators, and I met several creators lately, and I've had conversations with a lot of creators lately, and you guys know who you are. And they're refreshing because they're like, these are people just doing their work. They're out there. They're putting out art. They're having a good time. They're trying to build value. They're separating themselves from a lot of the nonsense and the bullshit, and they're just trying to kind of do their thing. And that's the stuff that keeps me engaged in comics. I want to personally thank you. I don't want to do it in this video, but I want to personally thank you guys. If I've talked to you on the phone over the last 3-4 weeks, then thank you. Because every time I do, I leave and I'm happy. Because it's like, hey, I just had a conversation with somebody who's not not a crazy a-hole who's out to kind of destroy somebody else. It's nuts. And I chat, with various people. I chat with one guy online, and we send each other stuff like, look at this, look at this. It's like, why is this going on? Why are these people doing this? And it does beg the question. It's like, I thought this was meant to be a supportive industry, and it should be a supportive industry. But we've got such a combo now of backstabbing and lack of support for each other and mistrust. I think you live in that industry for any length of time. And as you're doing the backstabbing, you're aware that other people are probably trying to backstab you, and it turns you just into an ugly, hateful person. And as I'm doing these videos, like whatever happened to Stephen Platt, or whatever happened to just any number of creators, um, it's part of it is a lot of them just decided, they noped out. They're like, you know what, the money and the outcome is not going to be positive, and the backstabbing and the fighting and the having to trudge up water against my peers is not worth it. And one thing, you take, heavy politics at a corporation, ironically, like a Disney or like an AT&T, where there are big politics going on at the top. Hell, not even the top, but the middle management and up. You've got politics, you got maneuvering, you got people trying to, get control over this particular business line so they can count that revenue as their own, and then they can get more people. And if they get more people, they can kind of attack somebody else on the side. I mean, I've watched executives at these companies deliberately tank a project that somebody else was responsible for in order to gain power over them. These are big time power plays. And they're still gross, but at least in this case, the outcome is, $1 million contracts and, control of your corporate destiny. And you're getting 2, 3, 1,000 people reporting to you, and you're managing. I mean, at least there's some rewards at the end of that political battle. Most of the time in comics, there are no rewards. This is just people doing it for some kind of sick sport. A lot of the people, and you go to Facebook groups and you see kind of people backstabbing each other, and I'm in several, and I see this stuff go down, and it's like, I mean, on one hand, I have these fantasies of like, I think I'll just screenshot a ton of this and just post it up and say, look at this stuff. That goes against my ethics. I mean, I was invited into that group. It's a private group for a reason, and the stuff I keep secret. But I look at that stuff and I'm like, this is unhealthy. Like, the healthiest thing for you would be either this group gets nuked and it goes away, or, Facebook decides, you know what, screw it, no more private groups. They just make everything public, and kind of like Original Sin, that storyline from Marvel where all the secrets got exposed. It's like, get all that stuff out in the open, burn it all down, and then, for all we know, Original Sin was a commentary on the comic book industry and the amount of secrets and kind of backstabbing that was going on, just getting out in the open, and then everybody has to deal with it. It might be healthy, but it's. I mean, this isn't. I at a professional level, I'm not Pollyanna here. I do think that these kinds of games and politics and strategery, there's a word. I think that there's purpose for it, and if you're going to go into play hard. But the outcome has to be worth it. If you're going to go and you're going to battle and you're going to play political games, there needs to be a political outcome that is worth the games. And if it's not worth the games, it's not worth the battle. And that's what I see a lot in comics, is a lot of people playing a game and very little value. There's no reward at the end of this. It's just people fighting, passing the time. And in a lot of cases, the people fighting, it's like, hey, I can't help but notice that 75% of the people in this thread fighting are behind in their deadlines. And, what would be nice is, getting the book out. That would be really nice. I'm just saying. Anyway, I don't know. It's a weird thing about comics. It's a brotherhood, and it's it's Game of Thrones at the same time, except without any of the dragons, the gold, the entertainment, the kingdoms to be won, or the boobs. It's just Game of Thrones without any of that stuff. Pretty boring Game of Thrones. Anyway, what do you think? What do you make of all this? Why do people do that? Maybe you have a theory. Let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, but most importantly, thanks for listening.